Hey there, I am back with another deck review, and today we're going to be looking at the Golden Rule Players Edition from Oath Playing Cards and designer Lotrek. In 1833, Bernard Dondorf opened up a lithograph printing business in Frankfurt, Germany. He dabbled in every printing innovation of the day, and his skill, combined with a wide array of printing technologies at his disposal, meant that he was well suited to enter the world of playing cards. Over about a century, his factory produced some of the most beautiful cards of the day, admired in large part because of Dondorf's notoriously high standards for craftsmanship and production. Now, fast forward to 2023, and a kindred spirit in Lotrek has set up shop in Greece with the exact same mission, leveraging the latest techniques to produce playing cards of the highest quality. So it's fitting that for his latest deck, Lotrek sought inspiration from one of Dondorf's most well-known decks, Shakespeare. Now, this one here is the Players Edition of the deck. There's an exclusive edition that's promised soon for supporters of Oath's Patreon. But for now, let's explore the art and the stories of the Golden Rule. All right, we'll start off with the tuck box. So these are printed in Greece in Lotrek's factory. Beautifully done with some really nice foiling. There's actually 3 colors of foil here. You get the red and then both a matte and shiny finish of gold. So 2 different colors of gold to go with the red. Really nice precision embossing on this one. Just a really clean look. Done a nice thick matte black cardstock. And then the front of the tuck box here kind of has a storybook look to it. The font here in the center with the name of the deck, the Golden Rule. And then lots of little bits of filigree and kind of vine work all the way around. You get the crown and sword at the top, calling to mind a fairy tale story of some sort. And then the Oath logo down there at the bottom. Beautifully done. Love the shine, the red and the gold, just a classic combination. Around the edges of the box, there's this gold band with kind of vine work cut into it that extends all the way around the tuck box. It's actually red on the bottom and then gold on the other 3 sides. Honestly, this one, don't love it. It looks a little bit clunky, chunky here for me. Almost looks like gold with just little chips taken out of it. So not my favorite on the sides of the box, but I will say when you look in close at it, it actually is really cleanly done foil. I just think not my favorite design. Bottom here has the red foil with that same design, and then the ad copy just mentions these are printed in Greece by Oath Playing Cards. And then the back has a foiled and embossed version of the back design of the cards. You may be able to make out the 2 different colors of gold foil. You get the shiny, almost a bronze looking foil, and then the matte foil has a little bit more of a yellow gold look to it. So you open up the inner flap, has kind of a mirroring of the design from the back of the card. So it's meant to be like, you know, kind of fitting in here. Honestly, a little bit weird. It looks kind of cut off when you look at just the flap itself, but makes more sense when you line it up with the back of the tuck box. And then that same pattern from the side of the tuck boxes continues on the inner flaps and on the interior of the tuck as well. So plenty of foil if you're a fan of that. Plenty of that to go around on the really nicely done tuck box. So there's your tuck box, but let's look at the cards. And we'll start with the back design. Here it is. So it definitely has that classic vibe to it. Makes use of the gold metallic inks on this one, and then mixed with kind of a maroonish red and then a deep navy blue. The blue, red, gold, just a great combination. Little bits of black in there for accents. Whole thing, nice use of color on this one. Nice bright gold metallics as well. And then a design similar to what we saw on the back of the tuck box. You get the crown at the top with the sword cutting through it. And then lots of just like vine work, filigree all the way around. Very classic design, kind of familiar if you've seen other Lotrek decks, but definitely a unique design on this one. Nice little touch. I love how the border just barely gets cut with the gold sword at the top and the bottom. Finishes out with a bright white poker border on this one. So there's your back design. Not too bad. Extra cards in this one, so you get the 2 jokers on this one. Red, and I guess I'll call it black. The black cards in here are more this green color, and then the red, the same that we saw on the backs of the cards, is used for the red ones. But each one just has the name of the deck, the Golden Rule in nice gold ink, and then the columns down the side, kind of an architectural detail down the 2 sides. And then Joker, Joker written in the corners. Interestingly, he chose to go with green here, but then blue on the backs of the cards. I think definitely a little bit of a clash for me. I wish it would have been the same color. Either use blue on the cards, we'll see more of this green as we go through the cards, or just put the green on the back of the cards as well. But chose to go with the contrast on these. So So there's your 2 golden rule cards, or the jokers. You also get a double backer, always a classic, and an ad card all done in gold for Lotrek. Kind of has a facsimile of his signature there and mentions his website and social at the bottom. Get a good look at the gold foil, or gold metallic ink that's used in this one. Nice shiny look. All right, but now on to the main deck. And we'll start off with the Ace of Spades. The only power ace in this one features a large, bold gold pip here in the center with the black background and the architectural detailed framing on the side. The design here, very ornate. Again, made up of filigree and kind of flourishes going all the way up. Really nice classic design to this one. The crown ringing at the top, and then oath playing cards and 2023 at the top and the bottom respectively. Nice look to it. The gold pillars on the side look nice as well, with the bits of green poking through. And then the pip and index kind of has that really fancy calligraphy sort of font there with the thin A with the classic pip there in the corner. So there's your Ace of Spades. The number cards I really like. The black background, those pips pop really nicely. And the pips fairly simple. So you'll see, well, I say fairly simple, but ornate at the same time. So Lotrek often does these sort of two-tone pips with the shading on one side, but this one really has a nicer look to it overall with that extra little flourish, the gold embellishment around the edges. Really nice look to the pips. So like those, very ornate. Look great in the frame as well. And again, using that greenish color that we saw on that golden rule joker card in the beginning. And then as you get to the red cards, kind of shades of red on this one. So you'll see the kind of maroon and then a brighter red used here as the embellishment on the pips. So you get kind of a fading of color on these. I love the red that's used on these. I think it's a great color. Definitely pops against that black background. And then back into the greens of the clubs. And of course, red with the hearts. So nice number cards overall, full custom. Only the Ace of Spades, like I said, is a special ace. The other one's just kind of in keeping with the rest of the number cards. And then we get to the court cards. And this is where tribute is paid to the original Dondorf Shakespeare deck. So in the original deck, a lot of the court cards, or all of the court cards, were designed after a series of paintings of Shakespearean characters. And for his version of the deck, Lotrek stuck with royalty and definitely borrowed on the king and the queen in particular, borrowed on his own version or his own rendition of the original Dondorf deck. But for the jacks, he did a completely new redesign. The original decks included some sort of minor characters from Shakespeare plays on the jacks, but for Lotrek's version, he kind of went with his own characters on it. But the queen and the king on each one are actually kind of remakes of the original cards. But as you look at him, beautiful look to him overall. Great coloring on this one. Nice bold use of colors. Still mixes great with the ornate golds that are used through the rest of the deck. Everything kind of a very fancy look to it overall. The ornate dress, the period clothing they're all wearing. And then, you know, like this one, the herald here with the bugle or that trumpet kind of slung over his shoulder, the sheet music in his hand. And then the queen and king, beautifully illustrated as well. The source artwork on these, like I said, from the original deck. So these two came from Hamlet. This is Claudius, the King of Denmark, and Gertrude, who both appeared in the play. But beautifully done. And I'll put a side by side here so you can see, for example, one of the cards along with the original side by side. So you can see Lotrek's version and the original. Really nicely done. Great use of colors. On the Patreon version of the deck, there's actually going to be embellishments of gold foil on these, which I think will make it look even nicer. So then we go into the diamonds. So on the original deck, the diamonds were patterned after Henry VIII. And so in true fashion, we got Henry VIII here on the King of Diamonds, and Catherine of Aragon, one of his many queens, as the Queen of Diamonds, and then a remade sort of guard here as the Jack of Diamonds. And then turning to the clubs, these all come from Richard III. So you have King Richard III there with his sword in hand, and Lady Anne as the Queen of Clubs, and then another page here as the Jack of Clubs. Love the teals that are used on this one, especially here on Lady Anne here in the center. Those teals really pop out nicely. And then finally are the hearts from Henry V. And so King Henry V here as the suicidal king, the sword behind his head, and then Catherine here as the Queen of Hearts. and another little guard here. Kind of reminds me of like one of the guards from Alice in Wonderland or something, is the Jack of Hearts. Really like that Queen of Hearts. There's something about her eyes there, just really looks nice. So great look at the court cards, kind of classic coloring, very bold styles, and the shading on these definitely has the feel of Lotrek cards, but I love that he went with something that was a little bit more custom than some of his more standard decks. I love his custom work, just does really well with it. And that is the deck. Now these are printed by Lotrek, so if you're familiar with like USBCC or Cartamundi, these are definitely going to feel different. They're thicker cards, thicker stock, so a much stiffer feel to them overall, but handling surprisingly not bad. That's usually a strong or a weak point of Lotrek decks. I wouldn't call it a strength on these, but they are nice slippery feeling cards, you know, handle reasonably well as Lotrek decks go. He's definitely come a long way with his handling, even if it's not quite USBCC or Cartamundi or even Legends level at this point. But anyway, that is it. That is the look at the Golden Rule, a fitting tribute to the original Dondorf Shakespeare deck. Hope you enjoyed this one, and make sure to check out Oath's Patreon for some more beautiful decks of his, as well as a chance to pick up some of his future designs for yourself. But that's it for this one. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe for more deck reviews, more unboxings. Let me know what else you want to see, and I'll see you for the next one.